What up, player? This is Jen with SeductionUnleashed.com, and today we're gonna talk about how and what to text a bitch after you just met her. Now, I just want to make something clear first. Texting is no magic pill. The truth of the matter is the real game, the real connection, the real solid shit that's gonna be made to see her, to make, to have her see you again enthusiastically, is really gonna happen in person. The texting is more for logistics. That isn't to say you can't do some shit during texting. You can be smooth and whatnot, but the reality is what's really gonna get her to show up is if you create that solid connection beforehand. Let's say you did. She just gave you her number. Maybe you plan to have coffee, or let's say Friday afternoon, and let's say it's like Tuesday or some shit. You're wondering to yourself, do I text her? Or maybe you don't even have a date planned. What the fuck do you text her? Let's use myself for an example. Last week I went up to a chick, and here's what I did. I ran up to her in the middle of the street. Well, I didn't really run up to her, but I jogged a bit. She basically walked ahead of me and whatnot. So I stopped her and I complimented her. Long story short, after taking her for coffee and whatnot, I got her number. But here's what I did beforehand. I made sure that when I texted her afterwards, I texted her something about what had previously happened in our conversation. So this is perfect, because what this does is it gives you a reference point to meet up with her again, to have a second date. So here's what happened. At one point, I don't know, we were talking about our hobbies or whatnot. She spoke about how she skateboards. So she was telling me how she used to skateboard, or how she skateboards, and I gotta be honest, I cannot skateboard for shit at all, or whatever. I'm bad. You would never see me on a skateboard, because if you did, I'd probably be on the ground like 2 seconds later. The point was, at that moment, the moment she said, oh, I used to skateboard, I was like, perfect. I was like, oh, cool, you should teach me how to skateboard. I said this before I had even got her number, because in my mind, I was like, oh, cool, this is a great way to just have an excuse to see her again. Like, oh, look, instead of just being like, oh, we're gonna have coffee or whatnot, it's like, oh, yeah, you owe me that skateboarding lesson. By the way, bro, if it's your first time here and you're interested in dating, relationships, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that button right there so you can join the Unleashed notification gang, bro, so you don't miss anything. So with that being said, bro, let's get back to the video. That shit right there was smooth as fuck, because then after we departed, after we left each other and whatnot, I text her and I basically I make a reference to that, how she's gonna teach me how to skateboard. I don't really remember specifically what I said. Maybe I just said something casual like, I gotta be honest, I kind of suck at skateboard, some shit. Basically, it gives you a reference point to not only see her again, but to text her right afterwards. If you meet up with the chick and you text her also, as far as when to text her, in my personal preference, it depends on the situation. But if it's a situation where I go up to her in a non-social environment, let's say outside in a coffee shop, or even at a party, really. If it's a cold approach type of situation, I usually strike when the hammer is hot right away. Like I'm not here to like waste a bunch of fucking time or play like a long game. And there are chicks that I do play long game with, mostly like chicks online and stuff like whatnot. But if it's something that I just met you in person, you're super la-di-da, you go away feeling super la-di-da, I'm gonna strike while the iron's hot. So once I get a chick's number, within like an hour or 2 hours or some shit, I'll send her a text. Hell, maybe even like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It really does not matter. But when you're speaking to her beforehand, that's when I would really set up the date. That's another thing. Don't set up the date over the text. I disagree with this shit wholeheartedly. I think at the very least, if you don't get the specific details down in person, you should at least have the idea out there. Like, have the idea out there, that where it's not like, okay, let's get coffee, where it's this new fucking thing that you didn't even speak about before. You should at least throw that idea like, oh yeah, we're gonna get coffee sometime. When are you usually free? Even if you don't manage to track down an actual day, try to get a general sense. Don't just say sometime too. I think that's a little more half-assed. I think you should go a little bit farther by just being like, when are you generally free? At least to get an idea of her schedule. Not just like, oh yeah, we're gonna get coffee sometime in the future. I don't know your schedule, I don't know my schedule, but sometime. Like that type of shit, you don't really want to do that shit. That's just not very solid. Now let's say you didn't make a specific plan. Maybe you just text her later on and you use a reference to just a conversation. Maybe she spoke about how she was from another state and you text her like, oh, hey, what's up, Nebraska? That's like one of the teasers I like to do. I like to call chicks by their location. For some reason, it's always funny, consistently, without fail. I don't know why it is. Like, name any fucking state, any country, and just call a chick by the country, and it's just instantly hilarious. In a sense, I think the bigger part of the lesson in this video is to set it up for success beforehand. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you just had some great conversation, but you didn't get no logistics, you never got kind of serious, you never really built a lot of comfort, you never really spoke about, you know, doing some shit outside of whatever location you're at, like school or whatever, and then now when you text her, now is when you do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, and I'm not saying you shouldn't try if you already did it already, but I'm telling you, it helps a lot. The bigger lesson is to do everything beforehand, because once you solidify things, once you solidify, you know, a flirtatious connection, some flirting, you know, but with a little bit of serious, so it's a solid connection. You know, you're talking about your family, your passions, your future wants and dreams, you know, even tragedies ultimately, because we live in a yin and yang universe. When you connect with a girl on positive things and extremely, as bad as it is to say, negative things, that's when you really build that connection where she sees you as a real person. Now, if you could do that shit before you get her number, that's what really counts. Because no amount of smooth text, if you didn't build no type of fucking real connection, no type of, it's not gonna lead anywhere, man. I know, because there's been, what's crazy about it is that there's situations where if you don't build comfort or you don't get serious at some point, you could literally fuck a bitch within 5 minutes. You could be at a party, fuck a bitch, you can make out with a chick within minutes and never hear from her again, because you did not build any kind of solid connection. She doesn't even know anything about you. That's something that I used to do a lot, because I was so into the first half of just playing this flirty character and flirting and teasing with girls, and I was smooth and I like cracking a lot of jokes, so I would get caught up in that. Before you know it, I'd make out with the chick, but I never got serious with her. I never spoke about bad things that happened in my life, never spoke about like my family upbringing. It was just nonstop, I'm a sexy guy and I'm flirting and whatnot. And over time, when later on that shit dies down, her adrenaline dies down, if she doesn't think of you as, oh, that's Jin, that's the guy who went through this and this and this, and he went up to me and he was smooth and charming. Just being smooth, charming, funny guy, that shit, it's not enough. It's gonna get you a lot of fucking flakes. I hate flakes. That shit is lame. Man, I do not like taking up spots in my phone for no reason. Now, what are your thoughts on texting a girl afterwards? Do you have anything that you have said to a girl that seemed to work well for you, whether it be universal or in a specific situation? Leave below in the comments and I'd love to read that shit. So if you enjoyed that kick-ass, positive, incredibly dope pimping video and you want to see more on dating, relationships, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that button right there so you can join that Unleash notification gang, bro, so you don't miss anything. So with that being said, gentlemen, unleash your best, and remember, until next time, confidence is bred by competence. Peace.